Hey team, welcome to another Quick Connect podcast for 2024. A chance for you to stay informed, stay connected and learn from each other. I'm your team captain, Richard Greer, and today on the show we're talking with Oska Baynes, elite marathon runner, owner of the Front Runner Colombo and the figurehead of an awesome running community with the Front Runner Run Club. Due to kick off pretty soon again for spring, so we'll have a chat about that when we get Oska on board in a moment. You are listening to TeamCPNZ Connect number 15, and this is number 138 of our Team CP Media Live podcast that we've done across the board. But before we get to Oska, just want to remind you of our Tour de France challenge that is rolling through July. How many vertical meters can you climb? What distance can you cover on Strava for the course of July? So hopefully that's ticking along and you're able to maybe push through and grab another few vertical meters over the next fortnight or so before July finishes. And then we'll be just about starting to think about spring as well. So recently, Oska put his toe on the start line of the Gold Coast Marathon as an elite marathon runner and with a well-measured build-up behind him. He went there with high hopes of a personal best. Today, pretty keen to catch up with Oska about his race day, how it unfolded, and the learnings that he'll take moving forward to his next challenge. What I really love about what Oska does is as he pushes the boundaries, he's always learning and he's not afraid to go and have a crack, which is pretty awesome. So Oska, are you there? Come in.
I'm here, mate. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's 2 weeks since your last event. How's the body feeling today?
Body on a whole is pretty good, mate. I have had a lovely 8 days of no running, which is nice.
8 days of no running. When was the last time that ever happened?
Maybe post World Champs last year.
Right, okay.
But I think I'm enjoying it. I'm not quite sure if Katie is. I'm pretty annoying. High functioning human that needs to use some exercise to dull some stuff. So, but no, it's been nice to be at home a wee bit more and recover and eat well and just be a little bit lazy.
Good.
As lazy as I can be, personality-wise.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, so it doesn't sound like Katie's completely booted you out of the house. You are sort of semi-coping with a bit of chance to recover. But nice on this side of it too, isn't it? When you've had a big effort, you've put it all out there, and you know the best thing for you is just to relax. So it's guilt-free situation as well. This is the best thing for me right now. It's nice to experience that.
Yeah, one thing we talked about with my mental skills coach was obviously running a marathon or any distance event or endurance event is really hard on your body. So, and there is a relationship between you and hurting yourself. And so one thing we talk about quite a lot is, once you've finished that event, the thought process is I'm going to really take care of myself and give my body everything it needs so that I can, go again when the time's right. And so that's kind of an important message that we kind of focused on post-event was, what do I need physically, emotionally, mentally to recover all of those things well. And so I have focused on those, watching a bit of Netflix binging and a couple of bags of chippies and playing some football in the backyard with India, not worried about my afternoon run. And I think those things are really important to do with recovery as well. Yeah,
good stuff. So how long will that sort of take in terms of recovery, do you think? Or is it sort of a bit of a grey area at the moment? I'm not sure. I'll start going when I'm ready. How long do you generally take as a downtime?
I think one real positive, and we can talk about it later if you like to, but I don't have any sore bits. So all the work that I did, and we've talked about it at length, pre-race day and sort of post some of the niggles I had last October, I have no injury, no real niggle, no tendon pain, no muscle pain. So it's been nice just to have a break mentally. And when I've been back jogging this week, just for an hour every day, trying to keep that social, run with someone different every day, talk, catch up. Running still got to be fun, and it is social time for me. It's my trip to the pub on a Friday night. That kind of mentality. So I have started back jogging, which has been nice just to get some joints moving again. And I like that age-old thing, 1 day per mile. I think of recovery, particularly for the marathon. So if it's 26 miles, then it's probably going to take a month for me to feel good again, and I won't push the buttons too hard until we get into August. But for now, it's sort of just keeping it social and fun and trying to do some good jogging and not stress too much about performance.
So you just said that you actually have been doing some jogging. That sounds like exercise to me.
Yeah, well, I had 8 days off, which was Sunday.
8 days, okay. So 8 days off, and now I started jogging. Yeah, so it's a fortnight ago since you did it.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
I had the Monday through Tuesday basically, and then I've been back running for it now,
Yep.
which was important for, I think, just starting again sometimes. You're ready, and just Matt always talks about it. Are we going running for the right reasons? Post an event, and if they're the right reasons, go for gold, and if it's not, maybe just take another day.
Yeah, gosh. No, I just wanted to clarify that. Sometimes with that run doesn't count, but it was actually a run. So I just wanted to
It's
make
on
sure.
Strava counts. It's on Strava counts.
Well done, well done. So let's just take a step back. Gold Coast Marathon. You had an awesome sort of way of documenting this build-up, which was really cool in regards to you had a guy that was following you around and did a bunch of YouTube videos which are about 10 minutes long. And really, I think it's pretty cool that you're sort of sharing your journey. I think a lot of times elite athletes get sort of I don't know, pretty insular because they don't want the competition to know, etc. But I think you've been awesome in just in terms of the way that you've shared what you do and how you do things, which is pretty awesome. And for me, I've learned a lot of you, and that's part of the reason for, I guess, coming into the front runner as a minimum every Wednesday just to say hi, basically. But how would you describe your build-up this time around compared to other build-ups?
That's a great question. I've been thinking about it a lot over the last 10 days. I think the first thing is I had a lot of fun. We came up with some, new to us ways of doing things, maybe not new to the world, but, different ways to approach what I was trying to achieve. And, I played a big hand in that, and I found that quite exciting. I just tried to get the balance between stress and adaptation time, or stress and recovery time, as good as I could, and try to be really honest with myself, and then using some objective metrics like HRV and resting heart rate, things like that, to just make sure that I was stressing myself enough to get a response, but not so much that I was digging a hole, which I think is basically marathon training in one sentence. And I really was lucky that Macca found it interesting enough to come and make some YouTube clips about sort of what I was up to, and by all intents and purposes, people enjoyed coming along. And I think putting yourself out like that, I don't mind that. Like, it makes you a bit vulnerable, and but also it can make it quite exciting. And I've always been a fan of like sharing information. Like, my ideas aren't going to get better if we don't talk about them, because you challenge each other, and you come up with ideas, and then you progress those ideas. And I think if you're not sharing those things, something better might not come out of it. So that's always kind of been my mentality with the conversations I have with Matt, other specialists that I work with, share that information around, and that's how we move forward. So to answer your question, I think the training, I had a lot of fun. I pushed myself to places I hadn't done before. I don't think I pushed too hard. I really made a massive effort on keeping my fuel. I sort of made that the priority. I think when you get to, I say as old as I am, not trying to sound old, but the training history I've had is I can run as far as I like. That's not a problem. I could probably run too far, to be honest. Like,
per week,
I have to hold myself. I have to hold myself back sometimes. But I think when the emphasis then is on, then it's about putting fuel in, so you're not digging that hole, or getting too thin, or not sleeping, and hormones and stuff like that. So I made a real big emphasis on that. And so we looked at training from a couple of different perspectives, not just mileage or speed sessions. And we tried to go in as recovered as we could to the race. So,
and as you mentioned before, that actually the body's not broken. You managed to keep yourself in one piece from a body perspective as well. So obviously you were standing on the start line, injury free, which is a big part of any preparation build up.
Yeah, and that was like goal A of the whole block, right? Was to have enjoyment starting on race day, not thinking about a ruptured peroneal tendon, or a ITB syndrome, or a sore hip, or like. So you just don't have those ideas in your mind. And, we achieved that, and I was quite proud of that. The work that collectively and then personally I put into making that happen.
Yep, and it was shown on one of your pre-videos that you did when
Yep.
you were did your morning mobility routine after you had your breakfast, and that's something that you've shared with us, and we've videoed that and shared with our community. So if you're watching or listening to this and you don't, you haven't seen that before, totally recommend it. I've been doing it for the last couple of months or so. Every morning, just do a bit of mobility type stuff, and that's been really good. So obviously there's other parts to it, but that for me that was again sharing that learning has been super cool.
It's an easy win.
Yeah,
It's
good.
an easy one.
Yep. How ready did you feel standing on the start line? How were you feeling?
It's a great question. And so ready is interesting. I think a marathon, and I've talked about this, and we've probably talked about this, like a marathon is obviously, you got to be as fit as you can. You've got to have picked a pretty good course, or one you think is going to be good. Maybe go somewhere that has adequate competition to pull the best out of yourself, and then the weather, the environmental. So if we think about being ready as those four things, I felt really excited to be there. I was excited about the group that we had, and the pace that had been said that we were going to run at. And so I felt excited about that. Obviously, I wasn't hurt, or wasn't carrying any niggles apart from, the general sort of being 33 and having run Wharamala, but nothing that stood out. Nothing that was like, this is sore. And I felt like the goals that we'd set were achievable. So yes, I felt ready to go. I had a great week leading in. I've made good decisions, which we can talk about. The ones I thought were good decisions, just around travel and running and listening to my body and some of the objective data. And I really did stand on that start line thinking, I've got all the tools I need to run well today.
What did your last couple of days look like? What training sessions did you do in the last 2 or 3 days leading into standing on the start line of your marathon?
Yep. So we flew. I flew over the Goldie on Tuesday, and I woke up Wednesday, and we were supposed to do a little tempo kind of session, but the travel did actually knock me around a wee bit, and it was a bit of a late night, so we opted just to jog instead. And then we pushed that little bit of work into Thursday, which we still felt like was okay because the race is Sunday. And then Thursday, I felt really good. We just did 4K at marathon pace, a couple of long stride outs. And I was feeling really positive about that. Thursday was just 50-minute run. Friday, just 50-minute run. And I went to the pool, actually. I find swimming really meditative. And I'm not very good at it in terms of the swimming.
Yeah.
But I find it gets rid of a lot of outside noise for me.
Yep.
So they've got the old Commonwealth Games facility in Broadwater. So nice outdoor 33-meter saltwater pool.
Cool.
And so I went and had a half an hour, just, turn the arms over and just sort of got dialed in about what the next 36 hours was going to look like for me. And I find that really good. Definitely active recovery. And then Saturday's just half an hour with a couple of race pace strides.
Good.
And sit around as much as possible, really.
Yeah, good. And that time, tick, 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 get that going. What were your goals for the event? What do you want to try and achieve as a result of doing this marathon?
Yeah, I think the first goal for me was obviously finish. When I wasn't going so well, 2017, 2018, when I had some health problems, I was made a habit of pulling out of races, and I kind of made a promise to myself that I wouldn't do that no matter how it was going.
Yeah.
The second goal was to, try and run faster than I've ever run before. And you don't really have control of that, but that was definitely a goal that we had. Whatever that looked like, so which helped me make some of the in-game decisions, which we can talk about. And then it was about competing well. So, trying hard. Where's the next guy? Can you run him down? Sort of that not giving up mentality, like find some guys and get stuck in. But definitely the main goal was to try and run faster than I've ever run before, which is always kind of the goal, and we made decisions based on that. I genuinely thought at the time I could.
Yeah, good. Nice work. So, how did the race unfold? How did you go? How did it go getting underway from the gun?
How long we got? How long have we got to talk about it? Well, it was an interesting morning. The elite van was full, so we actually ended up having to catch the tram, which I found a little bit difficult, but it was okay. That probably threw me a wee bit, just timing wise.
Yeah.
But we had this great plan and around nutrition and bottles and gels and all that sort of stuff. So the race went out. Originally, I think the group that I was going to latch onto had been a 2:15 group, 2 hours 15, and I really felt like that was super achievable if it was run consistently.
Yeah.
And so I made a choice that I was going to go with that second group, and they went out quite hot, quite fast in that first 4-5K.
Was there a pacer pacing that, or was there? Okay, so it was. Yep. So there was a job for someone that they were running that space.
Yeah, and maybe this was a mistake on my behalf, but I'd chosen not to go to the elite meeting the night before just because I wanted to relax, and so maybe they talked about a slightly faster pace than what was written on paper.
Yeah.
But I'd made the decision, like the weather conditions probably weren't that favourable, so it was blowing a southerly, which you run into basically for the first 18K. And
yeah,
my first in-game decision was either I can slow down and run my 3:13s, 3:15s on my own into this 35K an hour headwind, or I can run 3:09s, 3:10s on the back of this group and get a bit of a free ride. I felt like either one I was going to burn a match.
Yeah.
So I made the decision that I'd go with the group.
Yeah.
And I don't regret that. I think it gave me an opportunity to run well.
Yeah.
And there were some factors further down the line that, maybe contributed to the blow up. But so we rolled through 10K about 25 seconds faster than I wanted to, if I'm honest. And that might not sound like a lot to people, but it's quite a lot. You're now talking nearly 2 minutes faster over the marathon if you carry on, faster than you think you're capable of running. So, but I felt in control. I was sitting in the back of the group. I wasn't doing too much work. I wasn't breathing too hard. Cardiovascularly felt quite comfortable.
You've got to play with the environment as well, though, don't you? Because there's bits that you're going to turn around and you're going to have a tailwind now. So then that's going to be different too, isn't it?
So they're all things that I'm thinking about as I'm going, and I'm trying not to pay too much attention to how fast we're going. I don't want to create tension or overthink it in the moment. But I had kind of made a decision that if I started seeing a lot of 3:0 somethings, that I would have to slow down. Because then you start getting into 2:12 territory, and I wasn't there to try and run that. And that was definitely way at the top end of what I probably can achieve. And I'd need a lot of the environmental factors to be nullified, I think, to get there. And that wasn't the case on the day. And I think, so we got down to the 18K mark, which was the turnaround point. And then I made the decision that, hey, I think these guys are going too fast. They're looking like they're going to go through halfway in about 1:06.40, which again is 2:13 flat. And I'd love to get there, but in that moment, I felt like 2:14.30 was probably a little more realistic for where I was at. So I let them go, and I had a tailwind, and I ran that 20 to 30K really well. I ran it just under 32 minutes. I was feeling really strong. I got all my bottles. I actually felt not being in a group easier at that point. I could be in control of my own breathing. I was checking in with how my foot strike was. I was shaking out my arms and I was just going through some of my processes that helped me run well. And
good.
And then I thought too that there was probably some guys in that group that were a bit like me and probably more capable of a 2:15, 2:14.30 than a 2:12, 2:13. And I'd probably get some coming back that I could start picking off and use as
targets.
My next finish line. That's kind of what we'd talked about. And so I did start to pick some of them off. There's a couple of Japanese that I picked off, and then Julian Oakley, actually, who unfortunately didn't have a great day. But we got to 30K and I was on track to run 2:14.45.
So feeling pretty good at this stage?
I was really positive. Like, I was working pretty hard. I had been sweating a lot, and I knew I had been sweating a lot. I'd had a little bit of cramp thoughts starting to come, little forearm, just stuff like you've been running hard for an hour and a half. Yeah, but I thought I was okay. And I just made a real emphasis on making sure that drink station at 30K, I got my bottle, I took the whole thing, I had my gel, had an honest conversation internally. How am I going?
Yeah.
Can I do this for another 36 minutes, 38 minutes? And I thought I could. I really thought I was going well, and then we came out of the sky rises, and I think the sky rises really lulled us into a false sense of security about how hot it was.
Yeah.
And I came out of that onto the overpass onto the South Bridge as you head north up the Queensland coast, and the sun hit, and it was like, oh shit.
So this is out of the high rises for those people. Most people would know we're been to the Gold Coast, but basically you've got SeaWorld just over the way and a big sort of estuary space. So now you've got some more open area now, haven't you, rather than running down the main street?
Yeah, and the cool thing about that race is you pass the start finish at 32K.
Which is generally the time that most marathons start to fall to bits, and you've just passed the place that you want to be. That's interesting.
That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. So I prepared for it. I talked about it. We kind of prepared for what that might feel like. And so anyways, you go over this overpass bridge. It's not very steep, but steep enough that when you're on the limit, you're like, I'm on the limit. And then the cramp started, mate. It was pretty bad. So forearms, I even got cramp in my hand trying to get the gel out of my back pocket.
Oh no.
Bicep, trap. They kind of went first, and then I think there was the drink station at 32.5K. I took a little sideward step left and got cramp in both adductors.
Yep.
And then I think that's when I think I knew I was in trouble, because I'd done all this stuff right. What I thought was right anyway. Made good decisions, and it was still happening. Wipe my forehead and it's white stick. You're like, oh man, I got half an hour to go, and my body's not coping very well. So
because it's not the muscles that are giving up that are helping you move forward, running muscles, because you've trained those well. It's a central system thing, isn't it? Like you're getting cramp in the back of your neck and the back of your shoulders and your forearm, for goodness sake.
Yeah, so I think it's your body, trying to shut me down. It's saying, hey, we don't think this is safe anymore. We'd like you to stop. And I had thought cramp might be a problem, like it's pretty hot. I'm quite muscly. We talked about this, muscle creates heat. So I thought, hey, if I've got some cramp fix, which I did, and I took that, and that actually gave me another 3K. So even through 35K, I was still on to run under 2:16, which I'm really proud of.
And 2:16 was your previous best?
Correct.
Christchurch, in the cold, miserable, running through the duck ponds of the Avon, sort of beside the river there when it was raining.
The 2:16 was Reboot on Old Toe Tap Road, actually.
Oh, was it? Okay,
but it was still pretty miserable. And so I'd kind of had my, so that gave me another bit of time. And so I was really proud of that 35K. Like I'd run that's as fast as I've ever run to 35K before. Which is really positive in those conditions and that environment. I think it was all there for me to have. It just unfortunate. And then the cramp in the back of the neck, fighting to stay running 25 seconds slower per K than what I'm capable of. And I got to 40K. Both hamstrings went, both quads.
2.2 to go, Oska.
Yeah,
come on! Did you have anyone on the sideline cheering you on to finish?
Oh, I passed a wheelchair athlete and her cyclist at the turnaround, and they'd come back past me. He gave me a little bit of a come on, mate. And I was like, I'll get there. I just need this cramp to stop, because at that point I had no ability to lift my knee up. The hamstring had completely given out on me, and I think in those moments you go back to sort of those those pillar foundational values of what this means to you. And I wanted to finish. I'd got to the point where I wasn't gonna run any faster than I've ever run before, and I'd accepted that about 18 minutes ago. I'd known it was coming. I did everything I could to fight against it, and some of the stuff you can't control. And then I wanted to make myself proud, and that's important to me. I wanted to, not saying that anyone who pulled out didn't make themselves proud, but just for me internally, I didn't want to go there again. and
proud of the effort that I've put in.
Yeah,
I've done everything I possibly could.
I didn't want to give myself an out next time. Oh, you can just stop. You've done it before. It's fine. So I didn't want to do that this time. So I walked from the 40K mark to the drink station at 40 and a half. And there was there must have been some rugby league team. They quite often do fundraisers, for those. And they were great. They were fantastic. And we had a good giggle there. And he told me I looked like crap. And I said, yeah, I know. And I had some water and a little bit of electrolyte. And then he said, oh, do you want the ambo? And I said, no, I'll walk if I have to, but I'll keep jogging. And I jogged in and fought off more hamstring and more quad and more cramps along the way. And, I don't know what I ran in the end. Like, I don't really care, but I think I was more proud of the fact that it wasn't going well and I stuck to it. And that was important to me. So, hey, look, a lot can go on in 2.25 hours, 2 hours 20.
And what pace were you trying to get through at the end? Just because you've talked about 3:08s and 3:12s and 3:14s. Yep. What most people that are listening to this won't realize that's actually your per K pace. Most people that's at a different level that most of us don't even sort of factor in. So, so that's what you sort of started with at that range. What were you running sort of that last K or so? Like, is that? What's that?
Oh man, I think the K40 was 5:40.
Okay, that's I could cope with that. I could jog along beside you, Oska.
And then I think I ran a couple of just under 4s.
Okay. To finish her off.
To sort of finish it off. But
yeah.
By then it was don't give up.
Yep.
Which is definitely sort of my mentality with a lot of stuff. Sometimes it can get me in trouble, but I was proud that I got to the finish line, and I think it's a good lesson, and stuff doesn't always go the way you hope it will, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can stew on that for a bit, but you're allowed to be annoyed. Give yourself 48 hours and then start making a plan.
That's right. And you got to the finish. You achieved that goal that you set. Like, you set your goal of hey, I want to finish. You set your goal of I want to do a PB, and you set your top goal of I want to race this as well. And you did some racing in that, but you did finish, which is the most important thing. So as you said, you've had a couple of weeks to kind of review this, have lots of discussions with different people, etc. It was a tough day out there. I think that's the other thing to acknowledge, that wasn't a day for PBs. It was hot. I think the forecast was for 16 degrees. Last year, the forecast, like if it had been 2 degrees cooler than forecast, 14, that's different. Whereas it was like 2 or 4 degrees hotter, like 20 degrees, I think it finished off at. Plus, obviously, the wind as well that's going with that. So that's a tough place to be, isn't it? Tough place to run a PB marathon.
Yeah, I think if you had boots on the ground and it was a coachable moment, you'd probably readjust, maybe. But I felt like I was fit enough and I'd done work to give it a go. 100%. And I have no regrets.
That's right. Well, you've got to go and give it a crack, don't you? That's what this is about. Like, you've got to, I mean, we could run conservatively and finish in similar time, and maybe a little bit faster if you were conservative. But we've got to go and just throw it out there, see what happens, don't you? And you could have nailed it. You were on track.
And I still ran through 35K fast enough to run a minute quicker than I've ever run. So, it's definitely the environmental factors caught up, and I'm okay with it. And it might mean in the future race selection, I need to do a better job at that. Maybe I don't operate so well in the heat. Some people do. Some people have phenomenal runs. And it's hard to come from a Kiwi 2 or 3 degree winter when we do most of our training at 7:30, 7 a.m. in the morning. It's freezing cold, to go into 20 degrees unadapted. And we tried to do sauna work and spa work and heaters on the treadmill at the gym and plastic bags, but it doesn't prepare to, I think for a half marathon, all that stuff's great and you will get away with a little bit more. But for a marathon, you're pushing yourself to the absolute limit. So maybe for me, I need to pick some races which are more commonly 7 to 11 degrees.
And you're not doing your key run sessions, are you? You're not doing your 35K key run session in your 20 degrees. You're doing that in 5 degrees or 10 degrees kind of thing, if you're lucky.
Funnily enough, my key session for the whole block was a 5x5K. and I did that in -2 down Old Titap Road.
Okay, there you go.
So, with freezing cold hands, So you're right. And that's just part of what we face, I guess, being down at the bottom of the world, and we have got to pick our opportunities. And so for me, that was probably my biggest lesson, was I didn't feel like I did anything wrong in training. I didn't do anything wrong in the race. Sometimes you just can't control, what the environment throws at you.
Yes. Are there any other key learnings to take away? So you're going to try and anything else that you've come up with?
I guess a few things. Maybe some stuff we can perhaps try and tidy up in the gym, which I'm going to work with a new S&C just to challenge me a little bit, which will start in the next few weeks. I think I made the decision to have 300 ml of liquid in each bottle. And so I thought I was having about half, but I might not have been. So I think in the future, I'll measure out exactly what I want, and try and drink the whole bottle, knowing that I've had then 200 ml or 175 ml, rather than have 300 ml in each bottle and think I've drunken half of it, but maybe I haven't.
So you had some leeway that I could have some more if I wanted to, but then you might not even be getting.
That's the way I understand
that.
Yeah. So I was okay with that plan, but maybe in hindsight, and in that heat, I'm losing more than a litre an hour. So, can I train that better or make some better decisions around that? And I think for me, like maybe wearing some half tights, compression tights, just to try and limit some of that quad hamstring exposure damage, muscle damage just through vibration. Obviously people that know me know I've got pretty serious quad hamstring girth. So there's a lot of forward momentum that hits that quad. So, is that going to, because you start talking about the last 1%. And something as silly as having an extra 25 ml of liquid every 5K might sound obsolete, but it's not. Something as silly as having some tights on that help regulate some body temp and stop some muscle vibration, that might give me another 1,500 meters. So it's not all those little decisions you're kind of thinking about. That's where I'm at.
And you're playing in that 1% of performance because you are dialing this marathon down into, can I do better than what I have before? Like a lot of us go and do this event and then we tick the box, we do it again a second time or maybe a third potentially, and then often we'll go and do something else, do another event. But whereas you've been how long have you been on the marathon journey for? You've run won national titles over half marathon. I think there's a 10K in there as well, is there? What other national titles have you got?
That would be my 3. I've got medals from 5K to the marathon. They're not always gold. The 5K I'm the most proud of because not my distance, but I'll take that. I'll take that silver any day of the week, actually.
Good job. So how long have you been doing this for?
15 years, maybe. 40.
Yeah, okay. So you're dialing it down, aren't you, in terms of continuing to improve and continuing to sort out how can I improve this and going through that process again. So
I think I've something I'd encourage people to do is just learn about themselves. I think something you do really well with your athletes and some of the other coaches I know is help them learn about themselves. And what they need and the decisions that they make. Matt always says, I can't hold your hand at 35K. So you need to be self-aware. And I've enjoyed that journey over particularly the last maybe 12 months, being a bit more self-aware and learning about myself and what I need to perform well and enjoy myself.
Nice. I'm just going to flash a picture up on the screen. It seems to be a picture I've been sharing quite a bit lately, but I think you'll appreciate this. This is the toast question. So how toast were you at they got to the finish line? So number 1 is black burnt. Number 1 is just lightly toasted. Whereabouts are you at on the scale?
Oh man, I was 0.5.
Like that's that piece I was actually visualizing this. We need to do another toast comparison chart, but that 0 or 0.5 needs to be sort of in bits because it's incinerated.
I've never been that bad at a finish line, and not in the sense of soreness, like obviously I was cramping everywhere, but I was very white. I didn't have any colour on my face. I filled 2 rubbish bins full of vomit.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat anything. I think all I managed to do was hold down about half a can of Sprite. So it was pretty bad. It was.
Yeah.
I'd emptied, and then in hindsight, maybe the neck cramp that's around an artery, so I might not do that again.
That's not good. Yeah. Okay. So 0.5. We'll take that. Actually, on that's my second 0.5 in 2 weeks. Kathy from last week was a 0.5 as well from her climbing the mountains. You've done very well. So where are you off to next? What's next, Oska? Yeah, obviously chill out time, bit of time off. Where are you off to?
That's a great question. I have talked to all my mentors and a little bit tricky. Matt's in France at the moment, getting ready for the Olympics with the swim team. So we've had a quick chat, but not a full chat. I think I'd love to run Auckland Marathon in November.
Cool.
More so just to put maybe a not so positive experience behind me and have some fun with the marathon. And just so you don't build pressure, I think, to go there with a slightly different mindset of, just a race rather than a time. And
because it's up and down, it's not a time course really, is it?
And then so when you go back again, if I go back at the end of next year to run a marathon, hopefully in Japan, that I've had a positive experience in the middle of the 2 bigger ones. I think that's important for me anyway, and the way my brain works. I will do some local road racing. We've got child number 2 impending, which is exciting, and so I'll really looking forward to dialing Dad in and doing a bit of that stuff, and just running when I can, and then hopefully helping the boys win a road relay title in Taupo at the end of September. And just as time allows, do some domestic racing and then use all this good stuff that I've done to run some track. Now that my body's in a place where I can go around in circles in a pair of spikes again, which I'm excited and proud of. Because you know firsthand how bad I was, but people won't know the sort of how sore I was and what I couldn't do. So
and the track season sort of December through March.
I'd love to go back to nationals and have a run over the 5K. I think that'd be really exciting, and then have a bit of a cross country season next year, because again my body hasn't been in a place to put spikes on, so I haven't run a cross country race in a long time. Dunedin maybe 2000 COVID times 2020 maybe. So
right.
I think that's and especially if we're the second child, the newborn is, I probably can't travel quite so much, so some local stuff would be really good.
Nice. So lots of great stuff on the cards, which is exciting. And Front Runner Run Club, is that due to start soon? What's the date of that?
Yes, so the first Tuesday of September, we'll be back. I'll get some stuff out in the next few weeks with what that's looking like, and dates and times and locations. So I'm excited to sort of see everyone and check back in with those people and help people go well and enjoy their experiences and pass on some of my knowledge and learnings, I guess. Enthusiasm. Hopefully I'm not so tired then, but enthusiasm.
Lots of enthusiasm. Exactly. No, I love it. No, that's good. Hey, thank you so much for sharing, Oska. Well done on putting it out there. You did so well, and as I say, right at the top of the show, like you do a great job of being ahead of a pretty amazing running community. There's lots of people who are going to listen into this and take some learnings, and I think really appreciate you being so open and honest, and they'll take that away to improve their performance as well. So well done on that, and well done all the things you do. Go and enjoy a bit of jogging and some social time, and all the best for the arrival for you and Katie for number 2 in the next month or so. Is that? Perfect. Good job. Excellent. Okay, take care. Over and out, and thanks for joining us, team.